Nathan Blake, a single father and CEO, was enrolled by his assistant Lauren in a parenting class for busy executives, just as he requested. However, Nathan barely looked up from his laptop, where he was already in a video call with European partners. He quickly signed the form, thinking only that anything helping him avoid mistakes with his daughter was worth it. Lauren hesitated briefly before confirming the registration. Running a multi-million-dollar tech company while raising his 5-year-old daughter Maya alone was a challenge Nathan hadn't prepared for. He never finished any parenting books and spent most weekends catching up on work. Still, he promised himself and Maya he would try harder, even if it meant attending a class for dads in suits pretending to have time for bedtime stories. What Nathan didn't realize was that Lauren had accidentally signed him up for the wrong Class A prenatal care and parenting course for first-time mothers instead of professional parenting class. On Saturday, Nathan arrived at the community center, wearing casual clothes and a scowl. Maya was at a playdate, and he expected the class to be a quick 2-hour session. But when he entered room B3, he was surprised to find it filled with pregnant women, soft music, yoga mats, and a whiteboard titled Week 1, Emotional Connection and Early Bonding. He wondered if he was in the right place. Everyone turned to look at him, some smiling politely, others confused. Then Lila appeared, a petite woman with long, curly hair and calm eyes, holding a folder. She greeted him warmly and confirmed he was in the right class, though it was mostly for first-time moms. Nathan explained he wanted to understand his daughter better, which caused some chuckles. When he asked if there was another class, Lila said all others were full and the no-refund policy applied. She invited him to stay, suggesting he might learn more than expected. Looking around at the pregnancy pillows, baby dolls, and birthing diagrams, Nathan almost left. But remembering Maya's question about her mother teaching her to braid hair, he sighed and decided to stay. Lila introduced herself as his instructor for the next 6 weeks. The class began with introductions, breathing exercises, skin-to-skin contact, and bonding techniques. Nathan kept to himself, feeling out of place but listening carefully. Lila's soft voice didn't demand attention, but invited it. During practice, she handed out baby dolls and explained the first cradle hold as a silent conversation. Nathan awkwardly mimicked the others, and Lila praised his grip, noting he seemed experienced. Nathan thought of his daughter and felt a quiet ache in his chest. By the session's end, while others chatted, Nathan stood alone by the door. Lila asked if he would return next week. He hesitated but replied, "We'll see." She smiled, saying sometimes those who seem out of place need it most. Nathan left unaware that this mistaken registration, a plastic doll, and a woman named Lila were about to change his life. Sitting stiffly on his yoga mat among glowing expectant mothers, Nathan felt like a skyscraper in a field of sunflowers tall, out of place and alone. Lila noticed his discomfort, but also his focus as he read the class handout intently. She had imagined a polished CEO, but saw a man sincerely trying to learn. Leading the class was important to her, a way to help others form bonds she had longed for as a child. She began the day with diaper-changing basics, passing around lifelike dolls. Nathan accepted his doll silently, cradling it awkwardly. Lila encouraged him to see it as a chance to connect, not just a task. He copied her carefully, fumbling slightly but persistent. Lila praised his effort, and they shared a brief laugh, their eyes meeting before she looked away. After class, Nathan lingered, surprised by the hands-on nature. Lila explained many people fear holding a baby at first. Nathan admitted he wasn't afraid, just hadn't had anyone to teach him properly. When she asked about his wife, he shook his head and said he was raising Maya alone. Lila's eyes softened. Understanding why he was there, he wanted to be better for his daughter. Over the next sessions, their interactions warmed. Nathan began greeting her, asking thoughtful, sometimes blunt questions, always sincere. He paid close attention during demonstrations, not to impress but to learn. Their conversations were brief and awkward but genuine, like two people in use of being truly seen. One afternoon, Lila entered carrying a basket of soft cloths and blankets. She announced they would discuss the power of touch, specifically skin-to-skin bonding. Nathan raised an eyebrow, intrigued. It's commonly known as kangaroo care, a beautifully simple concept. A newborn rests directly against your chest, skin to skin. This kind of contact helps stabilize the baby's breathing and heartbeat, while also fostering a powerful emotional bond. As Lila handed out dolls once more, some women began unbuttoning their blouses or rolling up their sleeves, mimicking the practice. Lila approached Nathan, offering him a clean cloth. He glanced at her with a crooked smile. "You're not seriously suggesting I undress in front of a room full of strangers?" Lila flushed slightly. "No need to take anything off," she said quickly. "Just imagine the contact. It's the intention that matters." Nathan gave a slight nod and took a seat, gently holding the doll. Then, to the surprise of everyone, including himself, he lifted his shirt halfway, placed the doll against his chest, and wrapped them both in a cloth like a sling. He leaned back, closing his eyes. The room grew still. Lila observed as his features softened, his breathing slowed. Even though it was just a simulation, the tenderness in the way he held that doll made something tighten in her chest. He opened his eyes and caught her gaze. Embarrassed, she quickly looked away. "That was perfect," she murmured. Nathan didn't smile, but there was a new softness in his eyes. For the first time since class began, Lila forgot to feel nervous. Something had shifted, quietly, gently. Neither of them knew it then, but that small, sincere moment was the first thread binding their hearts. By the third week, Nathan Blake had become an unexpected fixture. The once guarded man who lingered by the door with crossed arms was now the first to arrive, often reviewing notes or asking thoughtful questions. Despite managing a multimillion-dollar business, Nathan never missed a class. His sharp suits were gradually replaced with rolled-up sleeves and a constantly used notebook, filled with scribbles on baby cues, emotional development, and storytelling techniques. He listened with the intensity of a CEO in a boardroom, but his focus had shifted. No longer just parenting theory. His questions turned toward real emotional connection. What struck Lila most wasn't just his dedication, but the tenderness that peeked through his otherwise cool demeanor, especially when his daughter was nearby. Maya, a petite 5-year-old with hazel eyes and a mess of bouncing curls, had joined one session when her nanny was out sick. Lila had prepared crayons and toys to keep her busy, but Maya insisted on staying with her dad the whole time, whispering questions or copying the exercises with her doll. She took to Lila immediately. Maya followed her like a sunflower follows the sun, watching her, listening intently, even slipping her hand into Lila's during breaks. One afternoon, after class ended and the other parents had left, Lila stayed behind to clean up. Maya sat quietly in the back, drawing with crayons. As Lila walked over, Maya proudly held up her picture. "This is my family," she said, pointing at the figures. Lila smiled. "It's lovely, sweetheart. Let's see. That's you, and who's this?" "That's Mommy," Maya said softly. "And that's our dog. And that's our house." Lila's smile faded slightly. Something was missing. "Where's your daddy?" she asked gently. Maya lowered her gaze. "Daddy's always working. He doesn't play with me." The word stayed with Lila. Later, once the room had mostly cleared, she approached Nathan, who was packing up his things. "Do you have a moment?" she asked. He looked up, surprised. "Sure. Everything all right?" "It's about Maya," she said, then explained the drawing. Nathan froze. His jaw clenched. "She said that." "She didn't mean it unkindly," Lila added, "but you could tell it weighed on her." He raked a hand through his hair, his expression unreadable. "I've given her everything: school, clothes, therapy, a full-time nanny. She doesn't need things," Lila said softly. "She needs you." Nathan said nothing. He stared at the spot where Maya had been sitting, his face clouded, not with anger, but guilt. The next day, Lila organized a bonding activity. Parents and children were to draw their dream family together. As others laughed and colored, Nathan knelt beside Maya on the mat. A blank sheet of paper lay between them. "So, what should we draw?" he asked, hesitating with a crayon in hand. "You don't know?" Maya asked with a small grin. "Maybe you can show me." For the next 20 minutes, they drew together. Nathan gave himself superhero muscles. Maya giggled and added bunny ears. Lila watched from across the room, smiling softly as their laughter echoed through the space. When they finished, Maya proudly held up their creation. This time, the picture was complete. There was Maya, her dad, and beside them, a woman with curly hair like Lila's. Nathan blinked at the drawing, then glanced up. His eyes met Lila's. She looked away quickly, blushing. Later, as they were leaving, Maya tugged on Lila's sleeve and hugged her tight. "Thank you for today, Teacher Mom," she whispered. Lila froze. The child's embrace, her small voice, it struck something deep. She knelt down, her hands trembling slightly. "What did you say, sweetheart?" she asked softly. "Teacher Mom," Maya repeated. "You make me feel safe, like Mommy used to." Lila's throat tightened. Tears filled her eyes. She looked toward Nathan, who had witnessed the exchange, wordless and stunned. In that moment, Lila understood the space she had quietly come to fill in both of their lives. And for Nathan, the woman he once saw as a quiet instructor had become something far more meaningful. No words were spoken, but everything had changed. It all began with a casual invite, an impromptu weekend trip to the local zoo. Nathan had asked tentatively, half expecting her to decline. But Lila had smiled and said, "Only if I get to buy Maya cotton candy." They strolled through sun-drenched paths together, Maya swinging between them, her laughter like wind chimes in spring. Nathan kept stealing glances at Lila, the way she moved beside them so naturally, how easily she connected with Maya, how her laughter softened something inside him he hadn't realized was hard. Then came a picnic, then baking cupcakes in Lila's kitchen. Maya smeared frosting on her nose, and Nathan laughed more freely than he had in years. Evenings became warmer, more intimate. Sometimes Lila stayed for dinner. Other nights, she'd read Maya a bedtime story, kiss her goodnight, and slip quietly out. But with the comfort came a growing ache inside Lila. Nathan was kind and attentive, but she had seen too many temporary loves in her life. After her mother passed, caregivers came and went, always gentle, but never permanent. And sometimes when Nathan spoke of the future, it was still I and Maya, not we. One Thursday night, after dinner, Maya already asleep upstairs, Lila found the courage to ask, "Do you ever think about what this is?" Nathan looked up. "What do you mean, you and me?" "With Maya. Is this just comfort? A passing routine?" Nathan looked caught off guard. "Lila, I don't know how to answer that. Things have been good, better than I expected, but I haven't thought that far ahead." Lila offered a sad smile. "That's what I figured." The next morning, Nathan was gone. A business emergency overseas had pulled him away. He had meant to call, to explain, maybe leave a note, but in the chaos, he forgot. His assistant messaged the school to excuse Maya's absence. Nothing more. Lila waited for a message, a call, anything, but none came. Days passed, only silence, and in the quiet, the classroom began to feel heavier. Lila kept going, but her heart no longer did. Her usual smile for the other mothers faded. The warmth she once felt when speaking about parenting now seemed distant, hollow. By the fourth day, she quietly typed a brief email to the center. Effective immediately, "I'm stepping away from teaching. Thank you for your understanding." When Nathan returned on Sunday evening, tired but eager to see both Maya and Lila, he sensed something was off the moment he entered the classroom Monday morning. Lila wasn't there. Instead, a substitute greeted him with a tight smile. "Mr. Blake, welcome back. I'll be leading the next few classes." "Where's Lila?" he asked, puzzled. The substitute hesitated. "She's taken a leave." Nathan frowned. "No one told me." "She didn't say much," the instructor replied with a shrug, apologetic. Nathan barely absorbed anything from that day's session. As soon as it ended, he stepped out into the hallway and called Lila. Once, twice, straight to voicemail. He tried again. Still nothing. He stared at the screen, a cold unease rising in his chest. She had vanished from his life without a word. And worst of all, he understood why. Because he had walked away first. Later that evening, Nathan stood outside her apartment. The faint sounds of the city filtered through the corridor as he waited at her door. He knocked twice. Nothing. He heard soft movement inside, fabric shifting, but she didn't answer. "Lila," he said gently, voice barely above a whisper. "Please, just talk to me." Silence. He stood a moment longer before sighing, stepping back, and walking away. Each footfall echoed with regret. Back home, Maya sat on the living room floor, quietly drawing. Her usual chatter had faded in recent days. Nathan watched from the kitchen, unsure how to reach her. "Hey, Peanut," he said, trying to sound cheerful. "What are you drawing?" She held up her picture, 3 stick figures, one with curly hair and a soft smile. "Is that me?" he asked. She shook her head. "It's me. You. And Miss Lila. I miss her." Nathan's chest tightened. He knelt beside her. "I know, sweetheart." She looked up with big, searching eyes. "Where did she go, Daddy?" He opened his mouth, then closed it again. She needed some time. "Did we do something bad?" "No," he said quickly. "You didn't do anything wrong." But he had. He had let her walk away, without showing her just how much he truly meant. That night, after Maya was asleep, Nathan sat alone in the dark, a glass of untouched wine in hand. He stared out the window, thinking about Lila, her quiet strength, her ease with Maya, her laugh that filled the room like music. He missed her, not just for Maya, for himself. He missed the peace she brought, the sense of belonging. And he realized something else. Lila had spent her life bracing for people to leave, and without meaning to, he had confirmed those fears. He put down the glass and pressed his hands to his face, overwhelmed. The following evening, Maya grew quiet during dinner. Then she asked to go to bed early. When Nathan checked her temperature, it was slightly high, but nothing alarming. He stayed by her side until she fell asleep. Around midnight, he woke to the sound of her crying. Her skin was burning hot. When he tried to wake her, she mumbled incoherently and began to shake. First lightly, then more intensely. Panic struck. He called the pediatrician's emergency line, but the nurse warned of long delays at the hospital and urged him to monitor closely. He felt helpless, alone. His hand moved on instinct, dialing the only person he could trust. "Lila," she answered on the second ring. "It's Maya," Nathan said, voice tight with fear. "She's burning up. I think she had a seizure. I don't know what to do." "I'm coming," she said. No hesitation. 20 minutes later, Lila burst through the door, pale but composed. She dropped her bag and went straight to Maya's room. Nathan followed, unsure, desperate. She placed a cool cloth on Maya's forehead, murmuring gently, her touch steady. "She's stabilizing," she whispered. "We'll keep her hydrated and stay close tonight." Nathan sat at the edge of the bed, hands shaking. I didn't know who else to call. Lila looked at him, and for the first time in days, there was no anger in her eyes, only concern and something unspoken. "You called the right person," she said softly. They stayed up all night, taking turns soothing Maya, wiping her forehead, whispering lullabies when her breathing faltered. As dawn approached, Lila brushed a lock of hair from Maya's face, then glanced at Nathan slumped in a chair beside the bed. "You really love her," she murmured. He met her eyes, raw and honest. "More than anything. And I was a fool to make you feel like you were just temporary." Lila didn't answer, but she reached out and took his hand. Not forgiveness, but a beginning. As the first light of morning filtered through the window, peace settled over the room. Maya slept soundly, her fever finally broken. Nathan sat, elbows on his knees, filled with silent gratitude. Lila lay on the other side of the bed, one arm curled protectively around the sleeping child. They hadn't spoken much through the night, but they didn't need to. Every glance, every shared gesture had said enough. Eventually, Lila shifted and looked at him. "She looks so peaceful now," she whispered. Nathan nodded. "You saved us tonight." Lila shook her head gently. "No, Nathan, you were there. You stayed." He lowered his gaze, voice quiet and vulnerable. "I've spent most of my life doing what I was supposed to do, making decisions, leading companies, staying in control. But last night, I didn't want to control anything. I just wanted to feel something real. I wanted to be present. He looked at her, eyes unguarded. I don't want to go back to being the man who keeps people at a distance. I want to open my heart. I want to choose connection. I want to choose you. Lila's voice trembled. I was scared. Scared that I was just filling a gap, that you'd move on once things settled, that I wasn't needed. You're not a stand-in, Lila, he said firmly. You're who Maya ran to. You're who she trusts. You're who I trust. He leaned forward, voice low. You're not just someone she loves. You're someone she chose. Tears welled in her eyes. And you're someone I need, not because you stepped in, but because you saw us, because you stayed. They sat in stillness, emotions hanging in the air like morning mist. And in that silence, something new began to bloom. Mama, Lila, both turned instantly toward the bed. Maya was awake. Her voice was soft and a little sleepy, but her wide eyes sparkled as they landed on Lila. She reached out with tiny hands and whispered again, Mama, Lila. Lila gasped, her hand covering her mouth as emotion filled her eyes. She leaned in, gently brushing Maya's hair aside, her voice trembling. I'm here, baby. I'm right here. Nathan moved to the other side of the bed, resting a hand on Maya's blanket. Lila glanced up at him, tears tracing down her cheeks. In that moment, Nathan saw everything he had ever longed for but hadn't dared believe he could have. Love, family, home. He reached out, and Lila took his hand without a second thought. No grand words were needed, just Maya between them, her half-asleep smile bridging two once-distant hearts now quietly united by love. The main room of the community center buzzed with anticipation. Neatly arranged chairs faced banners reading Parenting with Heart, a journey for single moms and dads. It was opening day for a new course, a support group for single parents, designed and personally funded by Nathan himself. At the front, Nathan straightened a stack of note cards he wouldn't use. His eyes lifted just as a side door opened. Lila stepped in, wearing a soft ivory blouse and a quiet strength she hadn't shown before. Her eyes met Nathan's, and she smiled, warm and steady. You came, he said, walking toward her. You asked, she replied, and I'm ready. He took her hand and led her forward. Whispered conversations stirred as they sat. Many recognized Lila from the prenatal class. Seeing her now beside the elusive CO sparked murmurs of admiration. Nathan opened the session with calm sincerity. I'm not here as an executive today, he began. I'm here as a dad who felt completely lost. He turned to Lila, and this is the woman who changed that. Light applause rippled through the room as Lila took the microphone with a modest smile. I used to think good parenting meant having all the answers, she said. Then I met a little girl who taught me that what children really need is someone who truly sees them. And I met a father brave enough to learn. Nathan's hand gently rested over hers as she sat again, pride in his eyes. As the event wrapped up, Maya dashed in, her yellow dress swirling, socks mismatched. She ran straight to them. Daddy, Lila, she squealed, wrapping her arms around them. You were amazing, she beamed at Lila. I heard everything. Lila kissed her cheek. Weren't you supposed to be backstage? I wanted to see you. Both of you, Maya whispered. The three of them embraced, a picture of something far deeper than coincidence. Later, with the hall emptying and soft guitar music in the background, Nathan turned to Lila and took her hands. I've given a lot of speeches, he said, voice low, but this one's the most important. Before she could answer, he dropped to one knee, pulling out a velvet ring box. Lila gasped. You helped me become a better father, he said. But more than that, you reminded me how to love, not by being perfect, but by being present, by staying. He opened the box to reveal a simple, elegant ring. I'm not asking for perfect. I'm asking for forever. With you, Lila Moore, will you marry me? Tears filled her eyes. She nodded, whispering, yes, before falling into his arms. Maya wrapped herself around them both, giggling with joy. Applause broke out from the back of the room as Nathan slid the ring onto Lila's finger. And there, where everything had once started by chance, something beautiful began, by choice. Sunlight spilled through the tall windows of the Blake home, soft and golden, the once sparse and polished house now brimmed with life. Children's drawings on the fridge, toy horses scattered by the stairs, and the smell of something sweet wafting from a kitchen. Lila stood at the kitchen counter, barefoot, her hair tucked back as she carefully added a final swirl of frosting to a pink cupcake. "Maya," she called. "Cupcakes are ready to decorate." Upstairs, footsteps pounded. Moments later, Maya burst into the kitchen wearing a glittery dress and a crumpled paper crown, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Mommy, Lila," she squealed, running to her. Lila laughed and scooped her up despite the gentle swell of her belly. Maya hugged her tightly, resting her head on her shoulder. "I want one with sprinkles, one with stars, and one for Daddy with extra chocolate." "You got it," Lila said. "And maybe one for your little brother or sister, too?" Maya gasped. "I can make a smiley face one for them." From the living room, Nathan chuckled. "Start practicing. They'll expect a full cake when they arrive." He strolled into the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, hair tousled, a book in hand and peace in his expression. He kissed Lila's cheek, brushing his hand along her back. "Everything ready?" "Almost. Just waiting on the star of the show." "That's me," Maya declared, twirling. "Can you believe you're turning 6? Nathan said, lifting her up. "I may happen," she said proudly, pointing to her handmade sign. "Happy birthday to the sweetest girl in the world." That night, after the party and cupcakes were gone, balloons drifting gently toward the ceiling, and Maya tucked into bed, the house finally quieted. Nathan sat beside her, the glow of a nightlight dancing across the walls. He opened her favorite worn book and began to read, his voice soft and low, surrounded by the warmth of something he had once believed was out of reach, a real, lasting family. Lila stood quietly by the doorway, one hand resting gently on her growing belly, watching the tender moment before her with a heart overflowing. "And the bunny said, 'No matter where you go, that's where I'll be,'" Nathan read softly, his eyes lingering on the little girl whose breathing had settled into the rhythm of sleep. He leaned down and pressed a kiss to her forehead. "Good night, Peanut." "Night, Mommy." "Night, Lila," Maya murmured. Lila walked over, brushing a kiss on the child's cheek. Maya was already drifting deeper into dreams. Together, Lila and Nathan quietly stepped out, closing the door behind them with a gentle click. Without a word, they made their way to the cozy den where the soft glow of the fireplace painted golden shadows across the room. Lila curled up on the couch, and Nathan joined her, draping a blanket over them both. She rested her head on his shoulder, and his arm wrapped around her protectively. 6 years old, she said softly, "and now we're expecting another." Nathan placed his hand gently on her stomach, feeling a faint flutter beneath his palm. "I never imagined life could be like this." Lila smiled. "Neither did I." He turned to her, eyes filled with tenderness. "You didn't just give us love. You gave us a home." She looked up at him, their fingers interlacing. "And you both gave me purpose." They stayed there like that, wrapped in warmth and silence. No urgency, no noise, just a peaceful house, a sleeping daughter, a baby on the way, and a love born not out of perfection, but out of patience, trust, and the decision to keep showing up. Nathan kissed her temple. "Do you ever think about that first parenting class?" he asked with a smile. "The one where I had to hold a baby doll shirtless in a room full of expectant moms?" Lila laughed, eyes lighting up. "That exact one. I think about it all the time," she said. "How one awkward moment changed everything." Nathan nodded, his voice quiet. "The best things in life often start in the strangest ways." Lila turned to face him, her eyes misty. "Do you think we'll be good at this?" "Raising 2. He smiled, brushing her hair back. "We already are. We're a great team." She rested her head on his chest, her voice soft. "Then that's all I need." Outside, stars began to the sky, glittering over the peaceful city below. Inside, a small family sat together, flawed, growing, and deeply bound by something real. Thank you for being part of this heartfelt journey of love, healing, and unexpected beginnings. Nathan, Lila, and little Maya remind us that family isn't always something we're born into. Sometimes it's something we choose, something that finds us when we least expect it. If this story moved you, we invite you to subscribe to Echoes of Resilience, where we share true, emotional, unforgettable tales that linger long after the last word. Don't forget to like, share, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another story that touches your heart. Until next time, remember, love has a way of finding us right where we're meant to be.